What's up? This is Brett. This is the Test Pilot YouTube channel episode of What the Hell Do I Know? And mainly we're going to talk about college football. Later on down the line there might be some musings into something else, but this is basically going to be a college football channel. As you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's not a whole lot of news. And I want to talk about top 10 because I basically been disagreeing with the top 10 that a lot of sites have been putting out. And basically, I'm tired of folks on YouTube that just act like they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Have they ever watched games the past 5 years? Like today, perfect example. Some dude said Wisconsin was a better program than Oklahoma. Okay, that happened. Anyway, so first team I've got, number 1, Alabama. Everyone's going to say, what about Clemson? They were in the national championship, LSU, Ohio State. It's Alabama. You look at the guys they lost. Tons of guys went to the NFL first 2 rounds. But they're bringing back Mac Jones, QB. Jalen Waddle, in my opinion, is probably the best wide receiver in the SEC. I know everyone's going to say Jefferson at LSU, George Pickens at Georgia. But I think it's Waddle. That dude's the fastest guy in the country. Devonta Smith, right there next to him. Awesome wide receiver. Will also be a first-round pick. Alex Leatherwood, the tackle, coming back for his senior year. Bringing back Dylan Moses. Bringing back a lot of guys on D. I know the D was questionable the last couple of years. Give him a lot of points, a lot of yards. Some people blame Scott Cochran, a lot of injuries. I think the defense is going to be much better this year, so they're my number 1. Number 2, another controversial choice here is Ohio State. Yes, they also lost a ton of people, but I think Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the country. That dude is much more dynamic than anybody else, and I think he's even better than Trevor Lawrence. And they play in the the Big Ten. I don't have a lot of respect for the Big Ten. It's pretty much a cush gig, as is my number 3 team, Clemson. So basically, Clemson and Ohio State are going to get to the playoffs just because they don't play anybody. UNC is recruiting at a crazy level right now, so maybe in a couple of years they can compete with Clemson. I don't see anybody doing that in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, they are what they are. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They don't recruit enough high-level playmakers to hang with Ohio State unless Ohio State screws off. Penn State's pretty good. Penn State's actually my number 9 team ranked right now. They're a pretty good team. They've got a lot of guys coming back. Micah Parsons is probably going to be this year's version of Chase Young. I think he was great last year. I think he's only going to get better. But are they recruiting at the level Ohio State is? No. Is Michigan? No. Michigan and Penn State are going to recruit in the top 10. But they're basically like the Mark Richt, Georgia versions of the Big Ten. They're going to go 10-2, 9-3, and they're going to get smoked by Ohio State almost every year. And that's just the way it is. Ohio State's a different animal. And they've got a harder path to the playoffs, in my opinion, than Clemson does. But I still think it's Ohio State and Clemson in the playoffs. Number 4 team is UGA. Jamie Newman, played at Wake Forest, but he played pretty well at Wake Forest and had some good wide receivers there. He's basically getting much better players on his team. Playing for Georgia, there's going to be an elite defense. I think that defense probably could be the best in the country if nobody gets hurt. Knock on wood for them. Oklahoma, number 5, replacing QB, but they've been replacing QBs last 3 years, and all they do is win the Big 12, which really isn't that hard because they've got to go through Texas, and that's not that hard either. Texas is not back, by the way. So they've got a good group of wide receivers coming back, good running back coming back. Spencer Rattler, 5-star kid. He was in that TV show QB1, where he came across as a massive douchebag. But be that as it may, the kid can play. So again, not a huge obstacles, not a lot of obstacles to go through in the Big 12. So, next team on the list is Florida. Yeah, I know Florida's basically like a Michigan. They're a really good team, but are they elite? Are they going to beat Georgia? Are they going to end up beating whoever the West puts out in the SEC championship? I don't know. They could easily go 11-1. They could also go 9-3. Kyle Trask, in my opinion, is one of the better QBs in the SEC. I know he gets talked about in some of the little media polls. Fans don't really agree with that, but I think he's a very good QB. They got a pretty good defense. Third and Grantham's still an issue, and I don't think they're recruiting at an elite level. But they are my number 6 team. Well, hold on, stop, because now I'm lost. 7, I got Texas A&M. Texas A&M's bringing back Kellen Mond. We've got a really good defense, bringing back a lot of guys on D. I don't really know a ton of the guys' names, to be honest with you. I'm kind of ashamed at that. That's bad homework on my part. But A&M's, I think they're going to be a really good team. They had a horrible schedule last year, and of course they lost every elite team they played. You know, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Clemson. But that was a tough road to hoe for them. I kind of think that they might challenge Alabama this year in the West of the SEC. Don't see LSU, who, by the way, LSU's my number 7 team. I don't see them making as much noise because all the guys they lost. Yes, they had an amazing season last year, historical season. But good Lord, like the entire team went to the NFL minus Jefferson and Delpit. You know, Delpit's going to be great on D. They're bringing back a lot of guys who played backup roles last year. They're recruiting at an elite level. They're going to have a great season. They'll probably go with Brennan, I believe, at QB. Don't think they're going to go the transfer out. Brennan's been there, did a year under Brady. Of course, Brady's gone now. So they don't have him calling the shots and calling that air raid offense. But LSU's going to be pretty good, but I just don't think that they're going to be the top 2 teams in the SEC West this year. I think it'll be Alabama and A&M. Like I said earlier, I got Penn State in there with Clifford, QB. Mentioned Micah Parsons. They got a pretty good defense. Probably will contend with Ohio State. I don't think they'll beat them. I think they're looking at a 10-2 season, maybe 9-3 at the best. Notre Dame coming in there, rounding out the top 10. Hey, stop for a minute. Name's rounding out the top 10 for me. They're bringing a lot of guys back from last year. They had a pretty successful year. They lost to pretty much the only elite teams that they played. Real good team coming back. They don't play in a conference, which I believe helps them. They got to play. I think they got to play Michigan this year, like they do every year in USC. Shouldn't be that difficult. Them losing to Michigan last year really surprised me. I was going off all week how they're going to spank Michigan because Michigan is massively overrated and they have a terrible coach. But Michigan went there and beat the crap out of them, so good for them. But I got Notre Dame coming up my top 10. That rounds out the top 10. So we got Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, Florida, A&M, LSU, Penn State, and Notre Dame rounding out the top 10. So that's about it. Just wanted to talk about my top 10 and a little bit of reasons why. It's the first episode, so obviously, hopefully it's pretty good. It'll get better, I promise. Next thing I want to talk about is just a little bit of current news. The SEC announced they kind of have players come back on June 8th, so that's pretty good. Everyone should be excited about that. Quarantine commits. Tennessee is cleaning house. Auburn had a real good week. I think it was last weekend. They had a really good weekend, like 4 or 5 guys a weekend. But Tennessee's cleaning house, and some people are talking about it, saying, "Well, they're 3 stars, and not a lot of teams are going after them." I think it could be on the both hands. It could be good for Tennessee, but it can also be, look at the average star ranking. It's not that high. So I think Tennessee fans have a legit reason to be excited. At the same time, some of these guys might not be the greatest guys. Is Tennessee going to drop a few of them and look around when visits can open up again and these kids can check out schools? They can maybe drop one of these kids or, do the whole slow play on one of them if bigger fish come in. But I think it's says a lot about Jeremy Pruitt and what he's selling there, the coaching staff he's put together. I think Florida is the team that needs to worry about the most because right now they're ahead of Tennessee in pretty much everything. Recruiting, right here in the rankings, but they've got a lot to watch out for. Pruitt continues to recruit like this, and they have a good season this year, which I think they can. They will overtake Florida, in my opinion. Maybe not this year, obviously, but I think next year and the year after they will overtake Florida. I don't see them catching Georgia just yet, unless something happens with Georgia and they just forgot, Kirby and company forgot how to recruit. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think Tennessee is going to overtake Florida here in the next couple of years. I don't have Tennessee's schedule in front of me, but besides Alabama and Georgia, I think they play. Do they play Oklahoma this year? I don't know, but I think they could go 9-3 this year. I think they're going to beat Florida. I really do. I got this feeling they're going to beat Florida, and they're playing Georgia now at the end of the year, and that could be a tough game. I think it's in Athens this year, so that could be a tough game. So not a whole lot of news going on other than just that little recruiting bit, and then the news about June 8th of schools coming back. I don't think it's just the SEC either. I think all schools can come back, all players, voluntary, which means get your ass in there. So anyway, hope you like the show. This is What the Hell Do I Know? And these are my rankings, but what the hell do I know? Thank you very much.